he started off as being a very conscientious man and was very polite, conducted the meetings. At that time, there were 2 African Americans who were on the board of control, as they called it, over the Negro Boys Industrial School. But Alfred Smith, without any condescension, ran the board meetings just as correctly as you could ever hope, and he wasn't at all condescending. But over time, I mean, he started out being very enthusiastic and about what could happen at the school, that he could make it a better school, because what was going on at that time was that it was being run like a prison farm. There were no vocational programs there. It was just a school. It was not a school at all. It was basically a farm in which black kids were sent out to work 10 hours a day. And we know a lot of this now by Dr. Gordon Morgan, who was the first tenured African American professor at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. Dr. Morgan was sent out, did a master's thesis at the Negro Boys Industrial School in 1956. And of course, you know, Faubus had been there for governor for 2 years, but he found that it was a very dismal situation out there, and that there was almost no any machinery that was being used for industrial programs, that the boys were still going out and working long hours, and that there were had been armed whipping guards in the past, and that there was still what they called a whipping night at the school. Now, what I suspect is that Orville Faubus, and I learned this from reading Roy Reed closely, Orville Faubus was a very hands-on governor. I mean, this is a guy that worked 12 hours a day, and he was basically a control freak. And I think, you know, he wasn't that interested in the Negro Boys Industrial School because the prior governor, Francis Cherry, had shown interest in it. And so he was doing other things, Faubus was, and did raise taxes for schools. But he didn't do anything for the Negro Boys Industrial School. And by 1959, I think Superintendent Lester Gaines and Faubus no longer really felt as committed themselves. I mean, that's just my feeling about that. And whether, you know, there are lots of rumors about where was Lester Gaines that night, what was he doing. You know, we've still a lot of unresolved stories about this. I just think that it's important to try to get the other side and find out if it's possible what Lester Gaines was really like, what his wife was really like, because at one point they seem to have been very involved in the Little Rock African American community, and I don't know the answer to this, but I think it's clear that Governor Faubus really did not want to take any responsibility for the fire, and he was intent on making Lester Gaines out to be the fall guy for this, when in fact it's not all that clear that he was. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you all very much. I'm going to turn this back over to Deborah.